Hey everybody, welcome to this weekly update. What I'm going to be doing today is talking about the Azure news. We have a lot of Azure news, or some good Azure news to cover off. And I also want to be talking about why I do these videos. I've been doing these weekly update videos now for 90 weeks. And I just want to, talk about why I'm doing them and what their purpose really is. So let's start with the Azure news. So this week there has been a bunch of announcements and some things that I want to talk about. So first thing I want to talk about, and I actually think it came out last week and I kind of missed it in the news cycle, but what there is now available in preview is a Azure policy that enables you to enable it, and then what it will do is help you automatically add in your virtual machines into Azure Site Recovery and help you with your disaster recovery plan so that something isn't missed. Now, this is a policy or something that a lot of customers have previously actually kind of engineered themselves. They've looked at it from their own point of view and implemented something. I know a few customers used things like Azure Functions and Logic Apps, I think, to actually try and figure out how to not miss things like that. So when you're building a virtual machine, if you're maybe, and there's some manual processes to add in, occasionally you might miss them because you're not working through that documentation, or you go and have a lunch break in between and things get missed, right? We've all been there, we've all done that. And this Azure policy actually helps avoid that step for you. So you can enable this Azure policy so that any virtual machines that get dropped into, say, a resource group will automatically get added into the Azure Site Recovery configuration that you have set up in your environment. So any new ones will be added, and any existing ones that are in that resource group that don't have Azure Site Recovery enabled for them, then the remediation task within Azure Policy will turn that on for you. So it kind of gives you that backup policy, which is ironic, pun intended there, so that if something's missed, if something doesn't deploy quite right, maybe you have everything automated in a kind of infrastructure as code scenario where, a pipeline maybe works through various different steps. One of those steps fails, you maybe miss that, or whatever may happen. The Azure policy will pick that up and actually make sure that Azure Site Recovery is enabled as well. So it's just a fail-safe as well. So another great feature. It's in preview at the moment, but I think this is one you could probably use within production without any kind of issues happening at all. So definitely look at that. Look at how you can implement that in your environment and take use of that new Azure policy feature that we have. Now, the Azure Security Centre team have done a roundup of all their April news, which is quite good. I always like these kind of news updates that they do every month to highlight what they've done. And there's a few bits and pieces that I want to pull out from that. So I do have it on screen, so I'm going to be reading. So for those of you watching on the video, you will notice that I am going to kind of look off screen. So I just want to get this right. So we've got some container registry images that have been recently pulled are now rescanned weekly. So that's another enhancement for your security center. They have added some compliance standards in, so the Azure CIS 1.3.0, the CMMC Level 2, and the New Zealand ISM restricted compliance policies are now there. So I love these kind of regulatory compliance dashboard that you get, because it gives you a breakdown of all that regulatory compliance. It shows you where you are on the journey towards that compliance stature and helps give you some information about how to achieve that. So if you've never achieved that compliance standard before and you maybe want to use that and you're working towards it, it gives you that progress update, gives you some guidance. And it's also great from the auditor point of view if you have someone that needs, a kind of breakdown of where you are and what you're doing, some evidence to show that, then that compliance dashboard within Azure Security Centre actually can help you with all of that. So great to see some new ones being added in as well. Now there's a few other things. They've depreciated some recommendations in terms of applying system updates. There is some, Azure Defender for SQL on the machine tile has been removed from the Azure Defender dashboard. Lots of features in there. So what I'll do is I'll post a link to this news summary and you can dive in and check it out and make sure that you are keeping up to date with any of the enhancements and any of the depreciations that have actually happened as well. So lots of things there for the Azure Security Centre team. So great to see. And again, the other bit of news that I want to talk about is we've got some generally available features within the Azure VPN Gateway solution as well. So we've got multiple authentication types for point-to-site VPN. So you can now enable multiple authentication types on a single gateway for your open VPN tunnel type. So you can have Azure AD, certificate-based, and Radius can be enabled on that single gateway. So giving you a kind of plethora of options in terms of identity and authorization. So great feature there. We've now got Border Gateway Protocol, or BGP, diagnostics on the VPN gateway. So you can see things like session status, route advertised, and routes learned by the VPN gateway. So great for those that need to dive into some of the logs around what's happening with your VPN gateway. You've also got some management features as well. So one of the features I noticed here, you can actually reset an individual connection instead of resetting the whole gateway. So that'll be an interesting feature. If something has went wrong and you need to make a change or something, you can do the individual connection and not reset the whole of the VPN gateway. So great feature there from the team. So yeah, there are some cool things happening within the Azure world. I do want to say thank you to everybody that tunes into these weekly update videos, that stays, that likes them, that comments on them. And yeah, if you're subscribing, I know when I look at some of my YouTube data that not a lot of you are subscribed to my channel. So if you are one of those people that haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate everybody's support, and I try and release videos every Wednesday and every Friday. This week we actually had a live panel, a live discussion on Wednesday, which was awesome. So yeah, there's lots of content coming, and for those listening on the podcast, you get this weekly update every Friday. I have been thinking about things to do in addition to that for the podcast listeners, but I'm not sure what I want to do with that and where I want to go with that. So maybe that's something that I'll be doing in the summer, but we'll see. So yeah, please, hit whatever like button, subscribe button, share button that you have access to, because I really do appreciate it, and it helps other people find this content and be introduced to me. As we are at number 90 of these weekly updates, I just kind of wanted to look back on the journey that I've had and why I do these weekly update videos, and because I think there's a lot of people that have joined me on this journey that may be viewing in and want to find out why I do it. I know from the live stream that we did this week, we were talking about video content with some of the audience and why I do that and how I do it and various different things. There's lots of interest into the process that I go through, but I want to explain what this weekly update video is all about and why I really started it way back in, I think it was July 2019, was the very first one that I did. So yeah, when I started these videos way back in July 2019, I was very much still in my infancy, in the beginner stage of my kind of public persona, my public speaking career. I really hadn't done any videos to camera at all. I think I'd done a few where it was screen grabs and stuff, but I wasn't on them, and my audio wasn't great, and even maybe my screen resolution wasn't necessarily fantastic either and what I was trying to tell. But what I wanted to do was learn more about how to present. I wanted to be more comfortable, A, talking without a script, and B, talking to the camera and doing all of this and figuring out all of how to actually deal with this platform and this medium and just, add that to my skill set. So yeah, this weekly video really started from me trying to learn how to do this, to figure out how to talk to the camera. And I think if you look back at my very first videos, they weren't fantastic, but they lacked direction and they lacked some, I'm not sure what the word is, skill around doing all of this, because I think I've said this before. If you look back at the very first video I did, I'm not even looking at the camera, I'm looking away over somewhere else, I'm looking at the screen, I'm not really focusing. I didn't have a script at all, so I ramble on about things and I didn't really understand the purpose of the weekly video, but had been stuck so long with I can't start until I have this, I can't start until I've done this, or I need a fancy camera, or I need to expend thousands of pounds on a tripod. I put so many barriers in place that I decided, do you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to get the camera on, I'm going to turn it on, I'm going to see where I'm going to go with it. And over the weeks and the months and the years that I've been doing this, it's grown. And it's become this weekly update where I talk about the Azure news and I talk about my weekly update and what I've been doing and some of the things that I've been thinking about. I had hoped that I would have been able to do this kind of traveling. I did a few in an airport and some outside in like Florida and stuff like that. And I had hoped I would be able to take you a bit more on my journey. I had much more plans about, you know, walking through conference halls, showing you backstage at speaker events and stuff like that, and just showing you the whole journey that I would have been on. But obviously the pandemic has very much put a stop to that. So the videos have been at home, and I've struggled a bit with trying to, you know, make them exciting both for me to do and also for yourselves having a listen to them and watching them. And I think I'm starting to get into the niche, starting to find the groove of where I enjoy doing these videos. And I'm super grateful for everybody that watches these videos and listens to the podcast. I would still do these videos if only like 2 people watched them. Thankfully, more than that watch most of the videos and the podcasts. But I would still do them because they're useful to me, because I force myself to make sure I check the Azure news for the week, so I get an up-to-date view of what's happening in the news world. And then I get to learn how to edit these videos. I get to learn the process. I get to play with some techniques. If you watched like last week's video, I had my GoPro in the car and I showed you some footage of me driving to the location that I used to film, and then stitching all that together and trying to figure out how that all makes sense and what looks good and what doesn't look good and how to edit that and make the sound good. All of these things have been a massive learning curve for me to try and figure out, and I love it. You know, I started out, like I said, as a weekly video, and I've slowly actually started to use it also as a podcast for those listening on the podcast. And that wasn't something I did at the very start. I didn't realise that it would actually play out quite well as well for the podcast viewers. It's been harder for me to grow. I think the YouTube has been easier because I enjoy slightly more of that, and I understand the visual audience a bit more. I don't quite understand the podcast space. I haven't invested a lot of time in learning how to grow that podcast to a certain degree. So thank you to those that are tuning in to the podcast, and apologies that I've not really put massive effort into making it much better for you. But I think, you know, it's giving people the chance to do this. And I was talking, you know, the other night on the live stream with Lisa at The Edge about this, and she was saying, you know, everybody listens differently, everybody wants to do something different, and she's done a similar thing with her podcast interviews that she did. She started them off as audio only and has now started doing the video recordings as well, so that people have the choice of, you know, just sticking on their phone, the podcast, going out for a walk and listening to the interview that she's doing with one of her guests, or potentially sitting down and watching the YouTube video if that's what they want to do. And I think that's kind of where I've gone with doing my weekly update as a video and also as a podcast as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey for me. I don't think everybody gets the purpose of these videos. I've had lots of criticism. I've had lots of people say, oh, well, you shouldn't be sitting down doing these videos. You need to stand up and do your videos, because why are you sitting down? It just looks stupid sitting down. I've had that. I've had people say that. I've had people say, why are you wasting time doing these videos because you don't get thousands of views? And you know what? Like I said, if only 2 people watch these videos, I would still do them. If nobody watched these videos, I'd probably still do them, because I learn a lot from it. I learn a lot from where I'm going with the YouTube channel. You know, not only from presenting to the camera and figuring out all of that, I learn about the editing process, and I also learn about the promotion, how to promote your channel and to grow that. And then I learn the bits behind the scene about how to grow things on YouTube. And I've spent a lot of time learning about the algorithm at YouTube, although I don't think you can really learn about the YouTube algorithm because it's so smoke and mirrors and it's constantly changing. But you know, I've spent a lot of time trying to understand all of the data that YouTube push at you in terms of what your videos are doing and how they're doing and how your audience are engaging. And I've tried to learn from that and try and adapt to, you know, what the audience want. Hopefully, please do tell me if I'm doing something wrong here, but you know, I've tried to use that and try to, you know, grow myself. So no, I don't want to be a social media influencer. No, I don't want to be a TV presenter. Yes, I want to be a technical evangelist. I want to be someone that can help take a problem and solve it with my technical knowledge, and I can explain some of the technologies down to, my gran. If I was having a conversation with my grandparents, then I would be able to explain that technology in the simplest way, or I can have that level 400 conversation with someone who's a fellow techie and really dive into the weeds of some things that's where I want to be. I want to be a technical person that has a bunch of skill sets that can help the audience, the customers, the community beyond just that technical experience, because I know some great techies that can't explain the theory, that can't speak to customers, that can't tell the story beyond them doing it themselves. And I think that's fine, that's great, that's your space, it works great for you, but I want to be more than that. I want to be, you know, a well-rounded person where I can do the technical things, I can press the buttons, I can do the thing, and I can also help others and I can explain it in a proper way. And where that leads my career, we'll see. You know, it's interesting. I saw a kind of statement or quote about someone saying, don't get locked into a company or a team or, you know, a mission statement. Look into your dream and your mission statement. Like, where do you want to go? And I think that's where I want to go. I want to be someone who can do the technical thing, but also explain it and help others grow from it and help other people solve their problems with the technical piece. And I think these videos to a certain degree help me do that, because I stick up. I keep up to date with all the news, I learn new things. So some of the news items that I've read there, I haven't used the VPN Gateway for a while, but I've had to read a bit more about it to talk to you today and stuff like that. So I'm learning from a technical point of view, and then I'm upskilling myself by doing everything around it that can help grow where I'm going with that kind of mission statement for me, my dreams. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in my weekly update video. Hopefully you're still stuck here and you understand and that's all made sense and I haven't just waffled, but these weekly updates are as much for me as the community, so hopefully you're all enjoying them. Hopefully you understand the purpose of them. I need to start getting my thinking cap on, as we're at number 90. We'll soon be at number 100. And I definitely do want to do some more live streams of these where I'm doing them live from a remote location, because I enjoyed that and I know a lot of you enjoyed that as well. So hopefully the weather will start to play ball, and hopefully my schedule will also play ball with me and allow me to do that. We had snow this week, which is completely crazy and not something we'd expect in May, but hey ho. It is what it is. So yeah, stay safe everybody. I will catch you in my next weekly update, and yeah, thank you for staying tuned, and remember to hit that like button or subscribe button, and yeah, I'll see you in my next weekly update video, people.